We are finally here, NFL fans. It's championship weekend. We have two games to determine what two teams are going to the Super Bowl this year. In today's episode, we're going to talk about the Kansas City Chiefs traveling on the road to take on the number one seed Baltimore Ravens. Can Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce win back-to-back road games to punch their ticket to the Super Bowl? We'll find out in this episode. Stay tuned. Of these two games, I think the Chiefs-Ravens game is definitely the most highly anticipated game. Vegas has Baltimore as -3 favorites, so because they're the home team, you pretty much get 3 points if you're the home team. So Vegas thinks this game is about a wash, and the money line spread is -190 for the Ravens and +160 for the Chiefs. First thing I want to talk about is the type of teams the Chiefs played this year. As most people know, the offense has struggled a little bit during the regular season. They had a lot of trouble with turnovers and wide receivers dropping passes and running wrong routes. And that happened, if you look at their regular season schedule, for a team that perennially wins the division, they played a pretty easy schedule, guys. They lost to the Lions, who weren't the Lions that they are now. That in that first week. Then they played the Jaguars, Bears, Jets, Vikings, Broncos, Chargers, Broncos. I mean, can you ask for an easier schedule to open up the year? I don't know. Then we went Dolphins, Eagles, Raiders, Packers, Bills, Patriots, Raiders, the Bengals without Joe Burrow, and the Chargers again. For a first place team, that's a pretty favorable schedule. And they didn't really play a lot of top 5 defenses at all. So this is their first real test against a top 5 defense besides the Jets. And the Jets are so bad on offense, it's really hard for that defense that's going to play tons of snaps each and every week to be very competitive for 4 quarters. So this is by far and away their toughest test with this Baltimore Ravens defense. And this Baltimore Ravens defense was so incredibly dominant last week. They did not allow a single first down after that first drive in the second half. The Baltimore Ravens defense only allowed 2.7 yards per carry to running backs in that game last week. They were extremely dominant. They made them very, very one-dimensional. And CJ Stroud wasn't sacked at all in this game, but there was pressure in his face in pretty much every sequence that he dropped back to pass the ball. One thing I think a lot of people are overlooking in this game is just how great an advantage it is for Baltimore to be playing at home. It's one of the craziest places to play in the NFL. It's very underrated. It's super loud. In this game last week, the Houston Texans had 11 penalties, with most of them coming pre-snap. CJ Stroud had a lot of trouble getting the play calls in. He couldn't hear. His wide receivers couldn't hear the plays. And I think Patrick Mahomes and this young wide receiving core and young running back room is going to have a lot of similar issues in this game. And man, the Baltimore defense is so incredibly good, guys. They only gave up 2.7 yards per carry to running backs. They completely shut down the run game for the Houston Texans. It was extremely impressive to watch. And another thing Baltimore did really well in that Houston game, time of possession. Houston, 22 minutes. Baltimore Ravens, 37 minutes. Wow. I like Baltimore in this spot. I really do. I think it's going to be really hard for Patrick Mahomes and this young wide receiving core. They didn't play that good last week. If Buffalo didn't leave Travis Kelce open on so many plays, it was crazy. Like that one play in the corner route, Travis Kelce is wide open. Nobody's guarding him. Nobody had over 60 yards receiving for the Chiefs except for Travis Kelce. And the Baltimore Ravens defense is going to double team Travis Kelce the entire game. They're not going to let Travis Kelce beat them. They're going to make these young wide receivers try to beat this Baltimore Ravens defense. And this Baltimore Ravens defense, man, they're only giving up around 300 yards per game in the regular season. It's been even less in the playoffs. It's going to be tough sledding for Patrick Mahomes. I like the Baltimore Ravens to win this game 24-17. I just don't think Patrick Mahomes is going to be able to do enough. I mean, he was pretty effective. I think he was like 17 for 23 passing last week. He's going to have like a 250 day, and Pacheco's going to have a really, really big game to keep the Chiefs in this game. The Baltimore Ravens won last week 34-10, but the game was pretty close. It was 10-10 going into halftime, and actually the Texans had an opportunity to take the lead but missed the field goal. And then after the second half, the Ravens completely took over this game. The defense was extremely dominant. They didn't allow the Houston Texans into the red zone for the entirety of the game. So the Chiefs actually have a really good defense too. They're ranked second in total defense of yards average allowed per game. So where does it break in this game? Is it going to be the Ravens defense or is it going to be the Chiefs defense? Lamar Jackson is just so elusive once the play breaks down. He had 11 carries for 100 yards last week. If the Chiefs want to by Lamar Jackson, that's going to open opportunities down the field for their wide receivers like Zay Flowers and Odell Beckham Jr. And the Ravens are hoping they're going to get tight end Mark Andrews back for this game. He's been a safety net outlet for Lamar Jackson for years. He's a really good tight end. He's actually very, very underrated. I think he's going to have a big game if he plays. I think he's going to play, man. This game, the winner goes to the Super Bowl. I look for Mark Andrews to suit up. I'll do an update later in the week about these injuries. They're also trying to get cornerback Marlon Humphreys back for the Ravens. The Chiefs actually had a lot of injuries from that Buffalo game. It was a really tough, gritty game. Kadarius Toney, Morris, Noddy, Thune, Willie Gay, linebacker. If he doesn't play, that's a huge loss for this Kansas City Chiefs defense. So, how do I think this game plays out? I think Patrick Mahomes is going to struggle a little bit to find his way in this game. If they can run the ball effectively with Pacheco, that's going to put them in an opportunity to stay closer in this game. But if the Ravens are as good against the Chiefs as they were against the Houston Texans, only giving up like 2.7 yards per carry, it's going to be a long day for Patrick Mahomes and this offense. I just think Baltimore's defense is way too good. If the Chiefs, who have only been averaging around 20 points per game, score over that, I will be very, very surprised. That's why I think Lamar Jackson and this offense is going to score enough points. I'm thinking around 24, 27 points will be enough to get it done. That's why I'm predicting the Baltimore Ravens to win this game. Let me know in the comments below, who do you think is going to win this game? Are you going with the Chiefs? Or are you riding with the home team, the Baltimore Ravens, the number 1 seed? I just think this Ravens defense is so good. To not allow the Houston Texans, who were humming for game after game after game, that offense looked super good, to not allow them in the red zone at all is just crazy to me. And then they only allowed 1 first down after that first drive in the second half. The defense really put the clamps down on Houston. I think they're going to do the same thing to the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going with the Ravens. Leave me some comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace.